What's good, geeks? I'm Jake. I'm Gen X.
I'm Anna. I'm Gen Z.
And we are Generational Geeks. Today, we are talking about...
Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Zack Snyder's Justice League. That is correct. So, I don't know how many of you are familiar with Zack Snyder's Justice League versus the theatrical release of Joss Whedon's Justice League. So we're going to talk about that. It will be spoiler free. We will have some explanation as to the differences and why there is a difference. And we will do another video that will be a spoiler discussion. Spoiler discussion about Zack Snyder's Justice League and more of the differences, but a little more in detail because it will have spoilers. So this was written and directed by Zack Snyder, who also did Batman vs. Superman, Sucker Punch, and 300. And also
Man of Steel.
The Watchmen, Man of Steel, yes. All good movies, all movies that I enjoyed.
I have not watched most of them.
You saw Man of Steel. You saw Batman vs. Superman.
And that's it.
Huh?
And that's it.
And that's it?
And that's it.
300? We just watched that a little while ago.
Yeah.
I
have seen that. Shut up. This is starring Ben Affleck from Daredevil, The Town,
The bad Daredevil. The movie, not the series.
I thought it was a series. I was cool,
it's
Daredevil.
The movie.
Okay.
Yeah. The cringe movie.
And The Accountant and Henry Cavill from Mission Impossible. Fallout? Is that all one?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if that was all one name.
Yeah.
Back to Birds of Prey now. Immortals, The Tudors, and The Witcher.
Yes,
Can't
The
forget
Witcher.
that one.
I did forget to.
He did forget that one. I was looking up there and I was like, he forgot The Witcher. Gal Gadot, Fast and Furious movies, Keeping Up with the Joneses.
Joneses.
Yeah.
Because that's a saying. Keeping Up with the Joneses.
Really?
Yeah. So like if you go out, if your neighbor buys a new vehicle and then you go out and buy an even better vehicle, you're keeping up with the Joneses.
Okay. Jason Momoa, as I like to call him. Jason Momoa from Conan the Barbarian, Game of Thrones, and Frontier.
Yeah, I've never watched Frontier.
Yeah. And lastly, well, I mean, that's not everyone that was in the movie, but lastly on our list is Ezra Miller from Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. For some reason, I want to call it Fantastical Beasts and Where to Find Them. Just make the name just a smidge longer. And Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald.
Grindelwald. So, and these, obviously, these characters were in other stuff related to DC. They're just obvious, so we didn't point them out.
Yes.
Like
Gal
Aquaman,
Gadot,
Wonder Woman, Man of Steel.
Superwoman.
Yeah. So.
That's why those aren't listed.
Yes.
But
so
we just listed them. So.
A little bit about the Snyder Cut. This is the 2021 director's cut of the 2017 superhero film, The Justice League, that was released in theaters. Presents the Justice League as directed by Zack Snyder, which is how it started out. So this is how he intended it to be before he left the production. There were some issues even before he left. So the studio kind of wanted to go a different direction, and they brought in Joss Whedon to make it lighter and to add some comedy. Because, Joss Whedon, he's also done Avengers and Avengers Age of Ultron. So they wanted some comedy. They wanted to make it lighter. The studio did. So they brought in Joss Whedon. They started doing some refilming. And then in March of 2017, Zack Snyder's daughter passed away. And he stayed involved until May. So there were a ton of reshoots. They added some humor, and they wanted less violence. So then we move on to the mandated runtime of 2 hours.
More than 90 minutes of Snyder's footage was completely removed from the theatrical release, but the results still adhered to the basic outline of the story or plot. Justice League was released on November 17th, 2017, and a lot of critics described it kind of as a Frankenstein film, where obviously it was the work of two different directors with two contrasting ideas.
Yeah. And I did read also that none of Josh Whedon's reshoots were in the Snyder Cut. So they did have some reshoots under Snyder's direction to put in to the Snyder Cut. And I think they added like $70 million to complete Zack Snyder's film. And that's, reshoots and re-editing and probably some special effects. So this movie is rated R, which is different than the theatrical release, which was rated PG-13. And it's rated R for more violence, more gruesome violence than the theatrical release, and then some profanity.
Can I just say that I think all DC movies need to be rated R, because that's just DC.
Shazam.
Shazam was good.
Come on.
It could have been rated R.
Yeah, but I could see that, like, if they did a Teen Titans movie, I could see that being PG-13. But there's some stuff, but if it's Batman, particularly Batman, needs to be rated R. Yes. Superman, I think you could probably get away with PG-13.
Yeah.
Just because he's kind of the white bread superhero. He's just kind of the generic, overpowered, yeah. So this is listed as an action adventure fantasy sci-fi. And so basically, synopsis of the movie, Batman wants to ensure that Superman's ultimate sacrifice from Batman vs. Superman, where Superman died. Hopefully that's not a spoiler to anyone, because that movie's been out for a while. So Batman starts recruiting. Him and Princess Diana, or Diana Prince, however you want to look at it. They come up with a plan. They start recruiting a team of metahumans to protect the world from the approaching threat.
Of catastrophic proportions.
Yes, of catastrophic proportions.
But, sadly, the task is a lot more daunting and difficult than Bruce had ever imagined, as each of the recruits must face the demons of their own past to transcend that which has held them back, allowing them to finally come together and form an unprecedented league. Precedented league of superheroes. Well, I guess Batman's not really a superhero.
He's a hero.
He's rich.
He just doesn't. That's a superpower. So now Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman, Aquaman, Cyborg, The Flash, they're all united, and they are working to protect the planet from Steppenwolf, Desaad, and Darkseid. So Desaad and Darkseid were not in the last one. It was all just Steppenwolf.
There was mentions of Darkseid.
They didn't really even mention Darkseid in the other one. They kind of alluded to him, but I don't think they ever mentioned him by name. We did watch the theatrical release the day before we watched the Snyder Cut.
Yes.
I
insisted on it, and then I fell asleep.
Just to make sure that we understood all the differences. And let me tell you what, there are some So, like she said, somebody said, there was a mandated runtime of 2 hours, and they stuck to that. So, Snyder was 4 hours, and it was a good solid 4 hours.
Yeah.
So,
I feel like there was a few parts that could have been cut out, but nothing that would severely impact the runtime. Right. So I feel like it wasn't an unprecedented runtime.
So positives for me, I think it had great special effects, had great action scenes. A lot of the action scenes you see in the theatrical release are actually extended and longer in the Snyder Cut than they were in the theatrical release, especially like the one with Wonder Woman where she goes in and fights the terrorists in the beginning. The Snyder Cut added a lot to that scene.
And I feel like it made it better, though.
It was pretty brutal. Like, you know,
Yeah.
a lot of times movies, especially if they're rated PG-13, there's a lot of implied violence. So you'll see somebody start to throw a punch, and then you'll see the person fly, but they kind of skip the whole contact thing. There was no skipping contact in this. It was pretty brutal, and she killed some people in that
good
scene.
way. Not killing people in a good way, but
Right.
it was brutal in a good way.
A little more realistic.
Yes.
Yeah, for a superhero movie.
Well,
it was more realistic.
Yes. Obviously, actors and actresses were amazing.
Performances were good. I mean, it's the same actresses as the first one, so good performances. They play their roles well. Some of the characters I found way less annoying in the Snyder Cut because, like I said, Wheaton, a lot of his reshoots were to add comedy, unnecessary comedy. They're trying to go. Everybody, not everybody, a lot of people are trying to go the MCU route, and it doesn't always work.
And that's not DC. DC isn't the comedy thing.
Unless it's Shazam.
Unless it's Shazam.
Or Suicide Squad. But if it's rated R.
Shazam and Suicide Squad.
Could be comedy.
Yeah, a Suicide Squad rated R would be.
Yes.
Yes, that needs to happen.
Yes. I'm not sure what the next one's supposed to be rated.
I hope it's R. Take something from this movie. It was amazing and rated R. And take something from Justice League and Batman vs. Superman. It sucked and it was PG-13.
Yeah. And they've proven that they can make money on rated R superhero movies.
Yes.
Logan, Deadpool.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
I think we'll see more.
Special effects were amazing.
Yeah.
They explained things a lot better.
Yes,
in this
the
movie.
explanations were so much better.
You actually understood things. And there were so many things in the last film that felt very out of place. And
Rushed.
in this one, out of place and rushed.
Yeah.
Because I can't get into like specifics.
We'll talk more in the spoiler.
Yeah.
So
there was just some things that seemed very out of place and like, well, why is that there? And then they fixed that in this movie and it was like, hey, that makes more sense.
Yeah. So negatives for me, this movie took way too long to come out.
Too much slow motion.
Definitely way too much slow motion.
So much
Zack
slow
Snyder,
motion.
300, lots of slow motion.
There was a scene that dragged on for like 5 minutes and it was all slow motion.
And as she stated, I think it was a little bit too long. They easily could have shaved 30 to 45 minutes off this, I think. Without really impacting.
Yeah.
Just some of the stuff, especially like Cyborg's, like, not necessarily his backstory, but his current story. They had one of those scenes where it just kind of drug on. A couple scenes where it drug on.
Or like, you'll find a character standing alone in a room and they're like, kind of like looking around in that. Like,
Well, yeah, but some of that was added for comedy too, I think.
Yes.
But
well, no, the
like
scene
Joss
that was in
Whedon's
the
comedy.
original, the one where it was
Right.
flashed, that worked. That was
Okay.
good. I'm not talking about that. I liked that. That was funny. And then slowly walking to places.
Yes, walking upstairs. Yeah, just like out for a stroll.
There was a very drawn out song moment and it was just very awkward to sit and watch. It was like, okay, when is this gonna end? They toned it down on the over dramaticness, I think, because there were some Aquaman scenes in the original that were like,
yeah,
okay, that's awkwardly dramatic, but like not dramatic in a good way.
They did really do a lot better with the backstory.
Yes.
For Aquaman, for Flash, and for Cyborg.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was a whole lot better.
Yes. Final rating?
8.5.
8.5. I was going to give it an 8, but the more I thought about it, I
It was
decided to go with an
good.
8.5.
I would watch it
I liked
again.
it. Oh yeah, I want to watch it again.
Yeah, I'd buy it.
So with that, like, comment, subscribe, all that
Share
stuff.
us with your family.
Share us with your grandma.
in her book club.
I'm Gen X.
I'm Gen Z.
And we are
Generational
Geeks.
You psyched me out.